Hey guys, I'm Caitlin Van Horn. I'm the social media editor at xoJane and xoVane. And I am coming to you from the studio completely barefaced because I figured we could talk a little bit about color correcting today because it's one of those things that is very trendy and also very confusing for me. So to help me out, I brought Kim and JoVona. Kim is one of our amazing xoVane editors, xoVane contributors, and JoVona is our awesome intern. So do you guys want to give a little spiel about yourselves?
Sure. Hi guys. You may recognize me from another video we did with some neon green and glitter. And like Caitlin said, I write for xoVane and I'm also a makeup artist here in New York City.
And I am JoVona. I am the intern at xoJane and xoVane. Representing for the brown girls today. That's it.
Yay! Because I think a lot of times when you see some color correcting tutorials, they're for very white women like me and not for anyone else that is interested in color correcting. So figured a wide variety of skin tones would be good today. But Kim, I was wondering if you wanted to tell us a little bit about like what kind of skin issues color correcting can address.
Yeah, for sure. So color correcting is something that has been in the business a very long time, but has only recently gone viral in the past year to 2 years. And color correcting is a way to get rid of any redness you have in the skin, any dark spots, any under eye circles, basically any extraneous colors, colors that you do not want to be in your skin. So that way when you put on your foundation, everything goes on much more smoothly and you don't have a blemish or a dark spot popping suddenly through your foundation. And just to address too in terms of color, if you have fairer skin, you want to go for lighter tones, more pastel. And if you have deeper skin, you want to go for richer, more saturated tones, a little bit more true to the color. So make sure you're choosing the right one for you, and we'll go a little bit more into that later as well.
Cool.
And we're going to take it back to kindergarten for a second to understand how color correcting actually works. So I've seen a lot of people want to use red lipstick all over their face, even on dark spots and on redness, and it doesn't really work that way necessarily. Red lipstick is great for certain skin tones, so if you need a deeper color corrector, lipstick can be totally fantastic, but some of them will bleed through your foundation. So I'd say try using a real color corrector first instead of just going blindly with the red lipstick and then having it come through your concealer in a couple of hours. So I like to think about color correcting as colors that are opposites.
Okay.
So when we put colors that are opposites on top of each other, they'll neutralize out. So if we have redness, you guys know what the opposite of red is?
Green.
Green, exactly, like Christmas colors.
I feel like my 8th grade art teacher is like really proud of me right now.
Good. You should share this to her or him.
I'll let her know.
They'll feel really like responsible. So exactly, we have redness and then green color corrector. If you're a little bit more fair, you can even use a yellow. If you use green on top of very fair skin, it can start to turn almost like Shrek in color, like a little greenish.
Great.
Or look like a little Morticia Addams, which is my aesthetic, but not everybody's. So yellow can sometimes work a little bit better. And we actually have the Sephora Pantone palette here as well, which has both yellow and green in it. And this is one of my favorite palettes. We actually used it in my last demo too for xoJane.
Oh yeah, you did that on my under eyes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, okay.
I used it for your concealer. This is my favorite thing on the go, especially for aspiring makeup artists or if you just need something in your kit, because it has color correctors and concealers, and you can also use them as foundation. And we'll be doing that today too. So we already talked about our redness. What if you have under eye circles, which are kind of blue in color?
Like a peach?
Like a peach, yeah, totally. No, you're like, don't ask me.
I'm kidding because I have really bad under eye circles, and this is the one little bit of like color correcting that I know, which is just like smear a bunch of like salmon colored concealer under your eyes.
Yes, yes, totally. So peach or orange is going to color correct underneath the eye any blue tones. So if you have very fair skin, you want to use lighter peach salmon tones. If you have medium tone skin, you want to use more oranges. And if you have deeper skin, you want to use more red tones. So we have that in this palette here. And it has all of those as well.
This looks like lipstick. I'm just going to put it out there.
Right? And you can use them as lipstick too. You can use them as lipstick or blush as well. So again, depending on the skin tone, you want to choose your color corrector properly. The same color that works for your friend might not necessarily work for you. All right, so we talked about under eye. We talked about redness. What if we have dark spots? They can look like a little purple on the skin. This is probably a trick question.
I just use a color that's a little bit lighter than my skin.
A little bit lighter?
Like a tone lighter.
Totally, and it can start to lighten up that area if you use it very specifically. You can also use the same color we use for under eye. Oh. So you can use the peach, the red.
That was a trick question.
The color, right? I like to be really tricky. They'll show up very similarly. And the last concern we'll talk about before we get started is any dullness or yellowness in the skin, sallowness. So I was born with jaundice as a baby, so I tend to look a little dull. Now, I still bleed a little bit yellow sometimes. So there's a certain color that I use on my skin that is not necessarily right for everybody. Do you guys know what the opposite of yellow could be?
Lavender.
Lavender, yeah, exactly. I like to think like the Lakers jerseys.
Okay.
A lot of sports teams will have those like contrasting color jerseys. So yellow, any dullness or sallowness, we want to use purple. Yeah?
It's like when I had like the flu for 2 weeks. It's just like.
Yes. You're like, I look really sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, the purple's definitely going to brighten you up.
Noted.
Cool. Yay, so we're going to get started. I know you should have taken notes. Good thing this is filmed, you guys.
Yeah.
You can always watch it again later.
And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. I can go through and answer them from Kim. So it'll be really tailored to you.
Yeah, guys, let me know. I'm totally here for you. I like to do that with the comments on the articles as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to get started with a base first, and that means using a little bit of a moisturizer and also eye cream and primer. So I'm going to give you guys each a pump of moisturizer. Yes. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right, so we'll do that there.
Awesome.
I'll give you that there. And what I like to do with my moisturizer is I actually put my fingers together.
So you put your fingers together.
I like rub them together.
Okay.
And then I like to press and roll from the center of my face outward.
Oh, this is much more luxurious than what I was doing.
Right? It's not necessarily for any major skincare benefit. It's more so that I can control where I'm placing my moisturizer. So I don't suddenly have a bunch of moisturizer in the center of my face and then ignore my neck or ignore my forehead or the sides of my face. I'll always know when I forget to remove or moisturizer on my nose or my forehead because I'll start breaking out there like crazy.
Great.
So I like to press and roll from the center of the face going outward. Looking good. You got some moisturizer right there.
Boop. Thanks.
You're welcome. Alrighty, and then after moisturizer, we're going to do a little eye cream, right?
Yeah.
It's the Benefit moisturizer too.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's the triple performing. I love it mostly for the smell, but also because it's very lightweight too. So it's good for a lot of different skin types. That's why I always take it when I'm doing demos. And then the next one we're going to do is clearly new because it hasn't been opened yet.
Oh, nice.
And it's the Dr. Brandt DMAE eye cream, and it's sealed for my protection.
I love Dr. Brandt.
Dr. Brandt is fantastic. What have you used from him before?
I think I used the like rolling, peeling
Oh
mask
yeah,
thing.
the microderm or
like so cool. It makes me like so glowy, like skin of a princess.
It's always a goal. It's always how I feel. Perfect. So I'm going to give you both a grain of rice size amount. And for eye cream, I always like to put it on my ring fingers and then tap it on my orbital bone. So it's actually not right up under the eye. It's right on this bone that protrudes here.
Right here.
Yeah, exactly. And a little tap, tap, tap. Yeah, perfect. And the only reason why we don't want to bring it up so high is A, it can irritate the eye, and B, it might emulsify any eyeliner we put there later, so the eyeliner might start to smudge and things like that. But we do want it there as a base for our concealer and our color corrector.
I have too much.
Never too much eye cream. You can always bring it up here too as well.
No, you're just really well moisturized.
Yeah, you're just going to be really well hydrated.
About an hour ago, I like yelled over to JoVona in the office. I was like, "Hey, JoVona, what are you doing in an hour?" And she was like, "Nothing," or what? I was like, "Okay, cool. You're gonna be on video with me and Kim. It's gonna be great."
Thank you for being such a beautiful model.
Yep.
No problem.
I'm ready to play. I appreciate it. Ready? So after we do our eye cream, we're going to do a little bit of primer, and this is my Guerlain primer here.
Oh, that looks swanky.
Right?
Are
It's
there
a
gold
radiance
flakes?
primer. There are gold flakes in it, exactly, which are for brightening and also for anti-inflammatory.
Huh.
So if you are prone to having redness on your skin, which I get a lot of surface redness, it can help to tone it down before you even start applying your makeup. And the reason why we want to be properly hydrated is so the makeup goes on a little bit more smoothly, especially under the eye. That's why we really focus on that eye cream. Because when we try to put color corrector under the eye or concealer under the eye, if we're super dry there, it's either going to show texture right away, or throughout the day, we're going to get that pieced apart, creasy look. It's the worst. And everybody sometimes just assumes it's the concealer. The concealer is bad concealer. But sometimes if your skin's thirsty and it's drinking all that hydration out, it leaves the pigment behind, and that's what becomes crepey and not so cute.
Now I know.
So
I'm in the bathroom with like a damp paper towel every day at like 3 p.m. like trying to like rehydrate my concealer.
Be hydrated.
I'm like, what is going on here?
You could always do a little eye cream on top too.
I think that's a better idea.
Do a little eye cream in my bag just in case.
This is just for like the oily spots, right? Where am I putting them?
All over the place.
All over.
So primers like this, which are just for radiance, that are a little bit more sheer, you can use all over the place. If you're using something that's more for color correcting, like if you had a green color correcting primer, or if you had a peach yellow correcting primer, you could just use them in the areas only where you need them. You do not have to put them all over the place. Or if even you had a mattifying primer, mattifying primers can be very strong. You don't need to put that everywhere either, especially for combo.
Okay.
Feeling good?
Yeah,
Feeling prepped and ready?
Yeah, I feel quite radiant right now.
Ooh, you look quite radiant too. I hope the camera can see that as well. Yes!
Yeah.
Zoom in on that beautiful radiance. All right, so I'm gonna have you guys tell me your concerns if that's okay.
Yeah.
The concerns that you're like, I wish this looked better under my foundation.
So I have like really dark circles under my eyes and they kind of go up here. And then I also feel like I have a little bit of like broken capillary like redness around my nose. And then I get some like, just like, you know the zits that you like always have no matter what?
Yes.
They're just like hanging out here. So I have
It's
those.
okay.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Those
are my concerns.
Visit the party. Okay, cool. Sounds
Yeah.
good. And I think we have the perfect products to work with you today too. So yay. And what are your major concerns?
So I have very oily skin.
Same.
That's like my major concern. And I have blemishes on my cheeks. So I try to cover those. And my eyelids are a little dark.
So a little bit more brightening there. Okay, cool. And we have perfect things for you too. So this is great, you guys. Yay, we have something for everyone. So we'll get started with Caitlin first, just because I think this might be a little bit quicker even, because our products come in little pens like this.
That's amazing.
Yep. These are the YSL Touche Clot color correctors, and these are some of my favorite ones I have ever used because they're very lightweight. So they're going to work really well underneath your foundation or concealer. It's not going to show a lot of texture, but you will be extremely color corrected.
Nice.
There are some color correctors that we have on the table here that do very similar jobs, like the Smashbox pencils. Those are a little bit creamier, a little bit fuller. We might actually use those on you because they're better for dark spots because they have a lot of pigmentation. But if you use them somewhere like underneath the eye, it might not be so good because you'll see a lot of texture underneath your concealer. And what I'm doing now too is sanitizing my product here. I always use my Sephora collection spray cleaner. I actually don't remember what I did before this brush cleaner. I have like a dark spot in my life where I'm like, I don't know
Just like
how
sprayed
I lived.
like alcohol or something on it.
Maybe, I can't be sure. So I always just spray a tissue and then I rub whatever brush or whatever product it is that I need to sanitize onto the tissue where I sprayed. And it acts like a vacuum and it takes out all the product that's on my brush and it also sanitizes it as well. So this thing is my absolute fave. So that way when I go to clean my brushes, like my personal set at home once a month, I'm not standing over the sink for hours and hours. They're already pretty much clean. So let's start with under eye. And you said something very important. You said that your color starts in here, right?
Yeah, it's like I almost get like a blue-green thing happening on the bridges of my nose, and it's awful.
Totally. Well, we all kind of have that too.
It looks like I got punched.
No, it doesn't look like you got punched. But we all do see things about ourselves that not everybody else might see. But I get the same exact thing. I get really blue up in here, right around the bridge of my nose, and then it kind of peters out underneath the eye.
Yeah.
So with our peach, we only want to go where we need it. So we don't want to start bringing out this peach all the way out to the sides of your face, because if we're putting peach on top of skin that's already corrected, underneath our foundation, it might read peach. It might read a little bit more orange. So we're starting really at the center of the bridge, like right here. It's right in the inner corner of the eye and going all the way underneath, only where I'm seeing blue. So I'm not really going crazy. I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm just going only where we need it. I'll do the same on the other side here. And we all have that little inner pocket that's generally the deepest. But a lot of people forget to do their color corrector there, and then they'll do all their concealer and still see darkness and not be too sure why. So make sure you're really starting right at the bridge of the nose. And then to blend out, before we do any concealer, I'm going to use my favorite brush in the entire world.
She was so excited when she came in. She was like, you guys have got to feel this brush. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, this brush is like my baby. I've always had one for myself, but I hadn't never bought one for my kit until now, so I'm very excited to be sharing it with you guys today.
What's the trick?
Doesn't it look legit? It's beautiful. This is a Sephora collection number 57 brush, and it's a fluffy concealer brush, and I've really never seen anything like it anywhere else, and I'm totally serious.
Feels
I'm not
great.
just saying it because I like love it. Doesn't it feel like a little, like heaven?
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing. And I'm just doing little circles from the area where we have the most saturation going toward where we want the least, little circles, and that's going to blend it out completely. And you'll still see like a slight peach, but that's totally fine.
Right.
Because we're going to do our concealer. Color correctors are not always meant to be used alone. If you get a color corrector that's more of a concealer and it's like the Bobbi Brown where they're really salmon or bisque, you can use it as a color corrector and also as a concealer, but that doesn't work for every person. So I'd say make sure you try it first, see if that process works for you, and if not, if you still see the color, go for the concealer. Just use a tiny little baby bit on top so it looks like skin tone. So we're all neutralized. Yay!
I feel like so much more awake now.
Good. It's like 8 hours of sleep and a little click.
Yep.
And we're going to do our green now, and we're going to do green wherever we have redness. So we're going to go right around the nose.
Up in my nose.
Woohoo! You have amazing skin, by the way. I'm seeing
you.
no pores on your nose. So jealous. You need to know your skincare routine. And I'm actually going to even do a little bit on the tip of your nose as well.
This is really cute.
It's a really good look. And we're done. Perfect. See you guys next time. See you later. And then we'll do a little bit on your chin too.
Yep.
And here I'm really more pinpointing. So you don't have a lot of surface redness. You don't have a lot of generalized redness. So I'm just going to the areas only where you need it. When I use this pen on myself, I pretty much draw all on my cheeks, all around my eyes, and a lot on my chin because I get a lot of redness. So I have to do bigger areas, but for you, you don't really need a lot. So I'm just focusing it wherever we need it. Do one more dot there. Perfect. And then I'm going to use my number 57 one more time to blend that out as well. So have you guys tried color correcting before?
I have done a little bit of like the salmon under my eyes. I have like an And Other Stories palette that has like 6 different colors and I use one of them. Yeah, but I've been getting like self-conscious about the redness around my nose. So I think I will try this at home.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's actually why I like color correcting too, but especially for you because your skin is so good and you don't need a lot of foundation. You can wear way less makeup on top of this by color correcting first. Ever since I started doing color correcting, I went from wearing full coverage makeup to more like medium sheer coverage, which I never thought I would say in my entire life.
I mean, there are a few things I like less in this world than the way that like really thick foundation feels on my skin. So I think it's like from doing theater as a little kid where they would like slap pancake makeup on you and it was just like, ugh, the worst feeling.
Agreed. That's actually how I got my start in makeup was theater makeup. So I know exactly where you're coming from. That stuff is very intense.
Yep.
And you don't need it for every day.
I feel like they put it on me with like a putty knife.
Yeah, basically. So I did the light layer all over first, and then I'm just going back and spot correcting whatever's still peeping through. So 90% of it was covered, but maybe there was like one blemish and one little patch that still had redness. And now I'm really going to pat my brush over that area to prevent the product from moving off or coming off of that area, especially around blemishes, which makeup is a little bit. It's harder to stick makeup onto blemishes sometimes. It'll peel off a little bit more. I'm just going to pat just so that way it stays where we want it. I'm not moving that product everywhere.
So it's less of a swipe and more of like a pat.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. If we want things to be really, really saturated, we more want to pat or do long strokes. If we want things to be very natural, that's when we want to do our blending.
Gotcha.
Or like soft focus.
Wow, it looks so different already.
I know. I feel like I can stare at myself in the monitors of the camera, and I'm just like, oh, you look really good.
Right?
I'm probably driving the techs insane because I'm just like staring at all these monitors.
It's like, you know, the worst thing is to do than just stare at yourself all day, I think. Be cool. So, were there any other concerns we missed? I think we got them pretty much.
No, that was really it. Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna let you sit with that just for a second, and then we'll come back and put some concealer and foundation on top after. And then we're gonna move on to this beauty on my right. You ready? Mm-hmm. Right. So remind us of your concerns.
So dark spots on my cheeks and being oily and under eyes.
Under eyes. Okay, cool. I think we might use 2 different products on you just so we can show a different one for under eye and a different one for spots as well. Sound cool? Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. So for the spots, we're going to use the Smashbox color corrector, and this one is in Look Less Tired Dark.
Is that what it's actually called?
That's actually what it's called.
Oh, that's amazing.
But ironically, I actually don't like to use this one underneath the eyes, you guys, because it's kind of drying. So I use it more for dark spots, just because it clings to the skin a little bit better in that area. Especially if you're oily, you're more likely to emulsify things and have them move off your face. So we want something that's going to grip and is going to stay on. So I'm really going to spot correct. So any area where we see any type of dark spot or any blemish, we're just going to do a little dot on that area. And then if we have like a couple dots that are connected together, we all get those like clusters. Mm-hmm. I get a lot of acne scarring too, right in my cheeks. So sometimes I'll just do a big little hashtag sign right in that area and then blend right over it.
That'll make life easier because I'm always trying to do every single spot.
Right? And nobody has time for that in the morning. You got to get to work. You got to get here. I don't want to keep you at home, then I'll get in trouble. All right, so we're going to do a little dot here. So we're just going to do a couple dots all over here. Just like that. Okay. So we've got a big hashtag, and then a couple dots where they're more isolated. I'm going to do the same on the other side here.
Should I turn a little more?
Perfect. Perfect. You're being such a good model. Thank you. I always use my friends for my models, and they like to be the worst models ever because they always talk while I'm doing their lipstick. I'm like, punch. No, they're good. I'm sure they'll watch this and then hate me for saying that. They're good people. So I'm just doing my little dots here. The big hashtag in the area where we need a little bit more. And then I'm actually going to go around the mouth too. We can all tend to get a little bit more like sallow or dark right in this area as well. So we're going to do a little baby bit there. A little baby bit there. And then we'll have you show the camera the beautiful color correction before we blend it out.
This is
looking
me,
good,
guys.
right?
It's okay. I was super glam with all the green around my nose.
True, yeah. And then we'll blend it out. So this is like, this is the worst part. You know what I mean? Okay. It's only going to get better from here. Okay. We're going to get rid of these crazy
getting
markings.
pretty, y'all.
Getting real pretty.
I hope you have somewhere like fun to go after this.
I do. I'm going on the cruise that Dan couldn't make it to.
Amazing.
Intern perks.
That's amazing.
Ooh.
I'm going to Pilates where I will probably sweat my makeup off.
Good point. Alrighty, so same thing here. I'm using more like little circles or even swipes back and forth. Since this is a bigger area, I'm treating it almost like how I would lay foundation. So I'm going back and forth like this in this area here. And same as before, as we did with Caitlin, we're going to take that same product and just add a little bit more wherever we need a little bit more saturation. I'm going to go over a couple more of the isolated dots. But in the generalized areas, it neutralized pretty well. So we don't have to go back over those areas. And don't be too frustrated or get frustrated trying to cover the area completely and neutralize it completely. You might still see a little bit of orange popping through. It might not all be totally gone, but when you go to put on your foundation, you're not going to see it at all. So the goal is just to help out with your foundation, not to completely neutralize that area so you don't have to put anything on top. I'm going to do the same over here.
I think that's my problem. When I would put like salmon on my under eyes, I'd like immediately assume that like, all right, this is supposed to be it, and then get a little frustrated when I still looked like I got the 4 hours of sleep that I got.
Yeah, totally. There's a lot of people that say that as well. They'll be like, oh, why isn't this working? Like, it does work in theory.
You just only did half of it.
Exactly. That's like step one of 2 steps. That's it. Perfect. I'm just going to tell you a little baby bit this way, just so we can make sure all those are gone. So again, back and forth in bigger areas, and then really dotting or dabbing in the areas that are more isolated, where we want more specificity with our color. Cool. I see a huge difference, especially in this area here and this area here. Yes, girl.
Yes, girl.
I'm confident in this.
Good. And then under the eye, we're going to use a different product. So we're going to use that Sephora Collection palette I was talking about before. So we're going to use our orange tone in this one as well. And I would say the red is good for people that have more green tone under eyes, which is more like olive tone skin, things that are very, very golden but more rich in color. That's when you're going to use that red. Not everybody needs to use red color corrector. I know it looks like it on Instagram, but I promise it's not true.
I feel like there's a lot of like Instagram makeup tricks that are...
If I had $1 for every Instagram makeup trick that I was like,
like the shoe contouring. Yeah.
I can't. I just, you should never put anything sharp near your face, period. You can contour without sharp objects, I promise you. I promise. Alrighty, so we're going to do the same thing here. And we're going to start at the inner corner of the eye, and then we're going to go underneath. A good way to know if the color works for you is if you put it on, and if right away you see the white tone of it popping through, that is not your right color corrector. So if you're using the wrong tone on your skin, can I actually borrow your hand for a little demo?
I want to do my nails.
So, ooh, look at those nails.
We don't even want to look at mine.
You're so bad. All right, so we'll try that same YSL we used on you. I'm going to click it up here. You see how almost like this white cast is coming through? It looks almost like when you put on the mineral sunscreen. That means it's not your perfect color corrector. Or like if we were to put this one on Caitlin, let's see, let's go with this. It's a little bit too rich for her skin. There's too much contrast, so that's not the right color for her either. So you want to make sure you're using a color that when it sits on your skin, there's not too much contrast, and if you have deeper skin tone, there's no white cast. So even on the camera here, it looks like this tone is something that already exists in her skin. It's starting to even color correct just in the monitor, but this one's sticking out like crazy. So if you were to put this under your under eye, it'd look almost like white or gray popping out instead of the color that we want.
Oh yeah, I just learned something because I've been using like a pastier under eye thing.
Well, there you go, girl. I gotta give you a good one now. All right, so I'm gonna give you this. You can remove this from your hand so you don't get it on your outfit.
Yeah,
Lord knows every time I have makeup on my hand, it ends up all over my body.
Yep.
I'm gonna do the same on the other eye. And I like to work from the back of my hand a lot too. It just helps to make things a little bit more skin-like in texture. It'll warm them up so they lay a little bit more flat. I'll have you tilt this way. Perfect. And then I'm gonna go all the way across. I'm just putting it wherever I'm seeing that blue tone popping out. We don't want to put it everywhere. Just like that. Beautiful. Glamour. All right, so I'm gonna blend with my 57 again. So same one that I've been using this whole time. I'm telling you guys, this brush is my entire life. I could do somebody's whole face with this brush and it'd look like amazing. So that's why I'm obsessed with it. We'll do our little circles here. So what product have you been using for color correcting so far?
I just kind of use a bunch of concealers in different shades.
Totally.
And I just go like a few tones lighter than me. Well, yeah, a few tones lighter so I can get the dark marks. That's really it.
Yeah. That makes sense too. And for concealer, you still want to go maybe 1 to 2 shades lighter. But what can happen is kind of what happens with that like pastel color on the skin. It can almost start to turn like that weird, like
a chalky
like a chalky color. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you have such pretty skin, we want you to be your most beautiful you. We don't want to be layering 10 pounds of makeup on top of it because you don't need it. You actually have a really beautiful radiant glow to your skin too. I know you're saying like me, you're like, I'm oily, but I'm like, you look like a goddess.
You look highlighted.
Yeah, you look highlighted and hydrated, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
Drink a lot of water.
Good. And I'm even bringing a little bit of that color corrector up on the lid too, the tiniest little baby bit. If you're planning on doing a lot of eyeshadow with a lot of pigment, especially metallics, they cover really well. So you might not need to do this step, but if you wanted a natural everyday makeup, then you could bring a little bit of color corrector up before we do concealer. So we are all color corrected.
You look so good.
Yay! Beautiful, ladies. So now that we're color corrected, we'll go in and do a little foundation and concealer just so we can see how it looks on top. So I'm just gonna match you guys really quickly here. I have quite a few different tinted moisturizers and BB creams and CC creams, including Bare Minerals, the Complexion Rescue. We have Hydra Life from Dior. And we also have some from Sephora collection, which are unfortunately discontinued, but maybe they'll see this and bring it back.
Of course, this is going to be the one that I probably fall in love with because that's my life.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. They need to come back. Let's see. Yeah, I think you're actually going to be the Bare Minerals.
Nice.
Matches you perfect. Perfect. I'm going to try one on you as well.
It is so hard for me to find foundation. I mean, I'm sure it's hard for everyone to find foundation, but...
True. The struggle is very real for certain tones and foundations. Basically, what ends up happening is certain brands, and not every brand, but certain brand will make a color. We're even going to go... We're going to mix it with the concealer, I think, for you, because this, I'm not digging the color. But what will happen is they'll create a color, and it doesn't necessarily work. It'll be like a middle color, and then they just add like lighter pigment or darker pigment to it, ignoring the fact that the spectrums really range also in undertone. So that's why a lot of people will want a foundation, but won't find a color for it, in it for them specifically. And I think actually we might mix a little tinted moisturizer for you specifically. And we're going to mix it with our concealer palette and a little bit of moisturizer, which is actually one of my favorite tricks. So whenever I'm on a shoot and I need a color, because obviously I can't bring my whole kit with me, I always bring like 5 products and like hope they match, because sometimes they don't. I'll take something like this, mix it with a moisturizer to sheer it out a little bit, and then it becomes a tinted moisturizer. So I really like to use products in unexpected ways to get the result that I'm going for. So, because you're going to be a little bit more painterly and we're going to have fun, we might even do a little highlight contour. We're going to start with you first, and we're going to use that Bare Minerals. And because I want it to stay more of a like no makeup, fresh face look, I'm just going to tap this on wherever we need it. And I know we were having a little bit of a talk before we started filming about beauty blenders and about things like that. So what do you currently use for your makeup?
My fingers.
Your fingers! And how does that work? Do you love using your fingers?
It works pretty well. So I use like a creamy concealer under my eyes, and then I just generally put like pressed powder on.
Okay.
But sometimes I do a tinted moisturizer or like a sheer skin tint, and I just use my fingers. I try using brushes, but I think maybe I'm using ones that are too small because I get like frustrated and feel like my makeup routine takes a really long time when I do that.
Totally. It could be. It could be the size of it. Also, brushes can take a little bit more time than especially like beauty blenders. Beauty blenders, the reason why they're used a lot is because they're super fast. But I would say if you're just doing like skin tint and concealer, fingers are not necessarily a bad thing. Fingers, like beauty blenders, can have a tendency to shear things out and make it look a little bit more natural, a little bit more like skin, which is why I'm using my fingers on you, because I want your natural skin to come through. Say you were going to like a fancy party and you want to be like beat with a capital B, then you might want to use a brush, because then it will lay the foundation on a little bit thicker and you'll get the coverage you're looking for. And this is mostly just to kind of shear out any discoloration in bigger areas.
Right.
So like on cheeks, on chin, anything that we didn't catch before with our color corrector, that's what this tinted moisturizer is for. So just like that. So that's our step one.
Nice.
Right?
Looking
Looking radiant.
natural.
Very natural. And that's what we want to go for. I like to make myself look like a drag queen. I like to say this all the time. That's actually, I learned makeup from theater and drag queens. But for other people, I just want to show their beauty. I just want your beauty to come through. So
It's like the nicest thing anyone said to me.
that's only true. Why would I take away from like such beautiful things that are there? That makes no sense. All right, so let's do a little concealer underneath the eye. I'm going to clean off my brush from before. You have really delicate features, so I need a brush that's a little bit smaller.
For a second I was like, oh no, did you run out?
I know, I was like,
okay?
I will cry. I thought to myself this morning too, I'm like, I'm going to have to buy a new one tomorrow. Just like mentally preparing myself. Alrighty, so I'm just removing all the color corrector from my brush, making sure it's nice and sanitized. And we'll do a little concealer. And these palettes, the one thing is when you pick up the color, they look a little bit deeper in tone, but they turn lighter when you apply them. So pick a color you think is too dark for your under eye, or pick a color that matches your skin exactly, because then it'll turn 1 to 2 shades lighter once you put it on. So we're going to start with this one on you. And again, I'm going to use my wrist, any type of part of your arm, just to warm up the concealer so it lays a little bit more like skin. I'm going to start right in that inner corner where we put our color corrector before, and then I'm going to go underneath here. And while I'm doing this, I just want to know from you ladies, do you use the same concealer for your face as you do for your under eye, or no?
I have the same formula, but I have it in 2 different shades. So one is like a little bit lighter, and I use that under my eyes, and then I use a little darker one on my skin.
Yay, that's exactly what I want to hear. So concealers under the eye, we want them to be 1 or 2 shades lighter, but on the face, we don't want them to be that same tone, just because it's actually going to draw attention to any blemish or any discoloration you might have there. If it's a little bit brighter, it can just attract a little bit more of the eye. Perfect.
I feel like my mom used to wear like super glam, like full face makeup, and she was always putting like very, very light concealer under the eyes. And I actually still kind of like that look. I know everyone says it's like a reverse raccoon look, but I think it's great.
I'm actually not mad at it. It really depends on the situation, I think.
Like when Kim Kardashian does it, she looks great.
True. She does look great.
My mom also looks great.
I believe it. I agree with that. Perfect. I'm going to do this right here. The other day I was doing my makeup with my mom. I went to visit her upstate New York. So hi, Mom, because I know you'll be watching this. Hi, I know you love when I mention you. And we were doing our makeup together because she misses doing makeup with me. And she was putting her foundation, which I gave her, underneath her eye. And I was like, Mom, do you not have a concealer? She was like, no, Kimberly, just put this here. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Whatever works for you, you can do. Perfect. And I'm just tapping with my finger on top just to make it look more like skin. Again, you can use a brush if you have more discoloration. So if the color corrector still is popping through a little bit blue and you're not totally neutralized, use a brush. It'll lay it a little bit more saturated. I'm just going to do a baby bit of spot correction on the chin. So anywhere where it's still coming through. But there's no red popping out after I do the concealer. Perfect. Do the same here. I'll tip you that way. I'll do the same right here. So that's with all of our foundation and concealer.
Yay.
Okay. Are you ready now?
I'm ready.
Good. I'm ready for you too. So I'm going to do this here. One of my favorite things to do is really match the foundation exactly to somebody's skin. So if you have a palette like this, it's almost like painting. You want to mix the colors so it's their exact same skin tone, but we have so many options here. So what I like to do is I start with a color that I think is going to match perfectly. If you're wrong, NBD, it's just foundation. So just do a little baby bit, and then you can always adjust, make it brighter, make it deeper if you need. So let's start with this guy here, and then we'll tap on.
So with foundation, is it kind of more like the undertone of your skin you need to pay attention to?
Exactly. Okay. Do you know what your undertone is, would you say?
No.
Cool. I would say you're probably more gold/neutral. Okay. You have a lot of really warm tones coming out around the perimeter of your face. So when you're picking your foundation, you want things that also have more of a gold tone to them as well. I'm just going to pat in with my finger. What foundation do you currently use?
I don't really use much foundation, but when I do, I've been using the Fit Me by Maybelline, I believe.
I am so obsessed with that foundation.
I love those.
Yeah, I really like those.
Are you using the mattifying one?
Yeah, for the oily skin, I think. Okay. It's called matte, I think it's called.
Yes, good. I am kind of obsessed with it. I'm a foundation snob. It's really bad. Like, I have foundations I'll use and only those foundations. But one of my fellow makeup artist friends told me about the Fit Me, and she actually gave me hers because she had tanned and I always stay the same vampire tone.
Yep, same.
So she gave me hers to try out, and I'm obsessed with it. And I actually was going to pitch it as a story because that's how much I love it. So
yeah, making good choices.
Yeah, girl. Perfect. So we're going to do a little here. And again, I'm not going all over the face, but we can already see a major difference. So only in the areas where we color corrected or the areas where I didn't color correct, but I want a little bit more coverage, that's where I'm placing this. Because it's so strong, we don't need it everywhere. I'm going to do the same on this side here. Perfect. And how do you normally apply your foundation?
It's a combination of things. Sometimes I just
don't be shy. I just use my fingers.
Yeah, girl, everything goes here.
Definitely. I do the finger thing a lot, and a blender brush. Ball or whatever.
The
beauty blender.
Yes, welcome to the beauty blender, girl. I know you were telling me earlier how you've been using your beauty blender because you saw a video. Do you want to repeat for them too so they know?
Yes.
It's important.
So I saw a video that says you're supposed to wet the beauty blender first, like drench it in water and then like squeeze it out and then apply your foundation. So I've been doing it that way.
Yep. 110%. You should always wet it first and then apply it. If you use it just as a dry sponge, it's basically just going to be a dry sponge. It's going to be like a drugstore sponge, nothing special about it. But if you wet it, that's when it starts depositing the foundation a little bit more smoothly and mimics airbrush. So you want to make sure you're wetting it. Do you know how you want to use your beauty blender? What side of it? Because this is something that comes up on Instagram that makes me want to like cry sometimes.
I think it depends, right? If you use the pointier part for like under your eyes and stuff, and then you use the bigger part for your like cheeks.
Totally. So this is what's coming up on Instagram a lot is people using the bigger, flatter part. The beauty blender was actually made only to be used with the point, believe it or not.
Oh.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
I did not know that.
Yeah. The point diffuses it so that there's no harsh edges around your foundation. That's what makes it look so seamless and airbrushed. But if you use it on its side, it doesn't work properly. So you'll still have those edges, and you'll actually have to work harder and longer to get rid of any like strokes and lines and things like that too.
JoVona, you're like glowing.
Oh my gosh. Looking amazing. Yes. Perfect. And we're going to do the same on this side too. So again, I'm just blending out with my fluffy brush here.
This is so great.
I'm going to brighten up underneath the eye as well.
I'm just going to roll up to Pilates class looking gorgeous. Sweat it all off and be like, surprise, here are my zits.
Like, I look like very ethereal, and you leave me like, never mind. Perfect. And I'll have you tilt back for me. Awesome.
Don't get the beard.
Girl.
I have just like peach fuzz. It's cute.
Yeah, and I refuse to wax or like...
I will not wax my face. Yeah. It's my face.
Yeah.
They aren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, true. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. All right, so we're going to do a slightly brighter shade underneath the eye. And let's go with this guy here, and we'll mix it a little. So this palette comes with brighteners too. So if you find a foundation match, like I mixed two of the shades here together, that matches you perfectly and you just want to brighten it to use as concealer or highlight, you can always add a little bit of a yellow or a little bit of that like light peach tone just to brighten that color you've already created. So let's mix in a little bit of this guy.
This looks legit. I have to next time.
I also hate to put a rush on us, but we're just hitting our time in the studio.
All right. We'll do a little quick blend out here, and then we'll end.
But luckily for you, I will put Kim's Instagram handle in the comments, so you can follow along and see her there. You can also find her color correcting articles on our site. I'll put those in the comments too.
Yay!
Yeah, any questions, put them in there. This is amazing. I feel like I'm glowing. I hope you all have learned something. So yeah, thank you guys. I hope you have an awesome Tuesday.
Thank you, guys.
Yay.
Let's go finish up your makeup now.
Yay! Thanks.
Cool. I'm going to even you
Oh,
up.
so
Oh, we can stay. We can hang out.
Never mind, I'm back. Let's finish you up here.